Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Don't let your decision paralysis demon keep you from watching something great this weekend. Subscribe to ScreamShare, the newsletter that serves up a 5-minute breakdown of the best horror available on streaming. I'll have essential weekly movie picks covering new films, classics that you need to catch up on, and a movie that's always streaming for free. So subscribe now, and you can even be part of some frighteningly fun watch parties we're putting together that'll let you be part of the conversation. So click in the link in the show notes or go to screamshare.beehive.com. That's screamshare.beehive.com, and make sure you whitelist your welcome email so you can get all of the latest news and updates. And now the body count continues. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying time is here. That's right. We're talking about obsession, a thing almost no one talks about these days, on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from Burbank. Not that you'd actually know it, this is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And we're going to unpack all the goriest details of 2026's smash hit Obsession, in the hopes that a young music store employee's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we can make at their expense. As always, there's only one person I trust to make sure that they make the right wish at the right time and not just wish for $1 billion like a real asshole. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Yes, a smash hit. Like like a possessed young woman smashing her perceived rival's face with a brick several times.
Oh, many times. Many times. I cackled. We were talking briefly about organizational stuff just before we hit record and everything. But one of the things we were talking about, and because you had texted to me how unnerving you found it, and yet how fun it was. And I think that combination of unnerving, disquieting, and these moments where it is so much that it is genuinely funny, I think is the secret sauce to what makes this movie that probably shouldn't be a crowd pleaser into something akin to a crowd pleaser.
Right. Yes. It does tonal shifts, but it does them in a right way.
Yeah. It is, when people were very high on this previous to it coming out, they had spoken of it just working in a way that was really satisfactory, that made you walk away from it going, I feel very entertained. I feel like it did its job. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It's intriguing. It's well acted. It's well shot. And I can confirm that. I happened to get to see this just before we had Connor, one of the co-stars of the film, on the show for the Misery episode. And I walked into it going, oh, I hope this is good. And I walked out of it going, oh, wow, I think this is great. But I couldn't talk about it yet, really. And so it was really enjoyable to see a whole bunch of people over a long period of time, because this thing was in the top 5 for weeks and weeks.
And it was it is a rare movie. I think they said comparable to E.T. That actually made more money than its previous week for about 4 weeks in a row. So that was pure word of mouth.
Yeah. That's people telling their friends, their family, their coworkers, whom they're talking to. I went and saw it, and yeah, you should see it. It is good. It is scary. It is this. It is that. And that positive momentum was really fun to see, especially when we've had some very good horror years the past few years. Even things that dip just quality wise, we've had real standouts. But this year in particular seemed really, really packed. And it's great that this hit. It's great that Backrooms hit, just a couple weeks later. It didn't have the same propulsion. It had a big front-loaded energy, and then it tapered off, like most movies do. But that was grabbing so many young people right up front who were aware of it and wanted to see a theatrical version of it. And this was a creeper that started high, earned its money back immediately from what Focus had purchased it for at $15 million. And then it just continues to build internationally. It is nearly at $450 million worldwide, Gina.
Yeah, no, it is insane.
So, before we get into the meat of the content of the actual movie, I thought I might address one of those annoying social media issues. And we'll confront several of them, but here's one that doesn't really have to do with the content of the film. Very early into this process, about I think the second weekend, one of the technical people on the show, the costume designer, lamented online that while it was great that the movie was doing well, she was very proud of her work. She was proud of everyone she worked with. That she had basically taken a bath making this movie. And it, in her mind, not quite fair that she wasn't at least participating to a degree in the financial rewards of it. And you saw an interesting back and forth backlash of both people who, maybe older in the industry, sort of pushing back at something like that. And also just weird chuds pushing back, but more interested in people who actually make a living at this pushing back. And then those both in and outside the industry, commiserating and also looking at those numbers and wondering why she wouldn't be participating financially in it. And I thought, just as as of now, an industry insider, although the clock is ticking on that one every single day. Let's put it this way. There was a time and a place where speaking up about this sort of thing would absolutely be verboten for a clear reason. You start out in this industry sacrificing to get into it. Your work, if it's successful, then adds to your resume, and you then build off of that. This is how I continued to work in the industry for quite a while. The work I did, it garnered me attention. That attention led my and Becky's name to be said to other people. Our name got passed around. We got work off of work. But that kind of just is fucking dead in the water post 2023. I hate to tell everybody. They just don't make shit anymore. Okay.
Or if they do, they try to cut corners as much as they possibly can.
I mean, there's always been an element of cutting corners to a certain degree, but now all of it, even the big budget stuff, cuts a certain amount of corner, and they simply do not make the volume of entertainment that they once made. There was a time in this industry, I'm sorry, let me just yell at these people to get off my lawn. Please get off that lawn I don't have. And then tell everybody there was a time where every pilot season, every network would make between 6 and 9 pilots. Most of those would not ever make the air or make it to series. They would be tryouts, but each one of those would employ actors, directors, writers, technicians, craftspeople to accomplish that. So every year from January to April, there would be new energy, new jobs, and you would meet people, and they might not work that time, but they would bring you back for something else if they liked what you did. If you did a movie like this on the cheap and it did well, your reward wouldn't be an immediate check in the mail. It would be getting another job, and she should be getting other jobs. I think the main problem right now is there are not enough jobs to get.
Right.
as a result, when you sacrifice to make something for $750,000, and everyone in this movie in front of the camera, behind the camera, sacrificed to do it for that little amount of money. Yes, the producers have to be paid back first. They're the ones taking the greatest, risk. I get that. We all understand that. When you reach $450 million, you should at least make somebody whole up to their union standard. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So that's my financial wrap about this. I don't think any individual can just cut a check to her. It's not that simple. And telling her to pipe down about it, it's fucking ridiculous because it only made sense in the before times. But we live in the now times, and the now times, there's not enough fucking work for anybody. And I have to assume that's probably true for the vast majority of industries right now in these delightful economic times that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't perceive it as an attack against Curry Barker or Blumhouse, just so much as, it is a shame that, I worked on a movie, I collaborated on a movie that, ended up doing, far beyond anybody's expectations. And I'm still, presumably, scraping pennies just to pay my rent every month.
Yes. And that's, I saw it from all angles, and I didn't really and I figured we would talk about it eventually. It seems to have all died down and everything. But, for certain people, and for Curry and for Inde Navarrette, who, has come out of this like a rocket ship, right? They don't have trouble taking meetings right now and saying yes or no to jobs. But I don't think that the movie does as well as it does if it kind of comes out looking flimsy.
Right, of course.
And this movie, in my estimation, while it's not attempting to do things it looks on the level of the first Smile movie. That was
I was surprised I was surprised that it was made for under $1 million. That quick shot of Sarah's face, well, what remains of Sarah's face, is pretty startlingly good for that level of budget.
Yeah, I agree. Everything about this movie just feels more put together, more professional, and more well crafted than you would generally get. And I'm going to say this in terms of its professional look. I don't think I've seen a movie this cheaply produced look this good since John Carpenter did it for the original Halloween. That's not to say they're the same level of movie or anything. I'm just simply talking about how professional the images look. How unless you see it a bunch of times, you can't really tell that Halloween is being filmed in South Pasadena with painted leaves. He's just able to give it this very classicist look that really makes it pop off the screen and never makes you worry about, whether or not you're seeing something cheap and tawdry. It looks too professional to be that. And the same is true here. And I don't know if that is partially it's because Barker chose really smart collaborators, right? People he had worked with in the past, people that his line producer was recently on a podcast whose name is now immediately flown out of my head. But she's wicked smart and really brought a lot of people to the table that wouldn't have been interested in doing this sort of movie. But she felt strongly about it, strongly about the script, strongly about the performers, and thought they could make something really good. And she was right. Curry Barker was right. That costume designer was right. It sucks that a lot of that money is going to get sucked up into multinational corporations and not at least trickle down to the people on the line who, aren't going to be able to garner the same 10 job offers the day after the opening weekend that almost everyone else in the movie got to do.
Yeah. No, it's in regards to how it looks. I mean, if you had told, if I had seen this and did not know going in that it was a Blumhouse production, I would not have believed you.
Right.
This is one of the, by far, most all-around competently made Blumhouse productions I've seen in a long time.
I would agree with you there. And it doesn't have so many of the weird hallmarks that have gone on with Blumhouse. I would, not in terms of, I'm going to evoke Get Out several times, but I would compare it in many ways to Get Out in the sense that Peele and Barker have been doing short form entertainment for a very long time. That means that you have to cross looks a lot of the time. You have to be fluent in how different things come across. If you're doing a Viking sketch, if you're doing a sketch with just friends on a porch, if it's supposed to look high end, if it's supposed to look lo-fi, you kind of have to be versed in all of those things within a sketch comedy background. And I think that really lends to their ability to scale up and make a moving image that is in tune with what they want to communicate. They're not the only ones, but those are those two Blumhouse movies that don't seem to just regurgitate what kind of worked in Sinister. Not that Sinister is a bad movie. It's quite a good movie. Some might even say great, but there's a formula that they seem to take up after Sinister that you see in a lot of Blumhouse films.
Yeah, a lot of the shaky, the Jacob's Ladder shaky head thing, and a lot of children in peril, and none of that is here.
The math of their jump scares, it seems to be something that they have an algorithm for, and they want to stick to it.
You know what I appreciated? At no point in time, other than a brief scene of him looking it up on the internet, does Bear go to anyone that explains to him how the One Wish Willow works.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's no like all we know is that it's a toy. And that appears to either not work or work. It's the monkey's paw, which cracks me up. Now, you said in terms of the social media discourse, because I actually just watched this for the first time today, because I could not go see it in the theater.
You weren't allowed to be in a crowded room full of people.
I really wanted to, but it was not to be. So I did not. I did know about the costume designer. However, I did not really follow much of the discourse because I did not want to be spoiled.
Understandable.
And so I looked up some of it today, and I don't know how many. This is the first time I've ever seen a movie that was not in any way mismarketed, and yet so many people took the wrong message away from it. And also, so many people require an explanation for things, and it is beyond comprehension that because you don't know how the One Wish Willow works, ergo, it doesn't make the movie scary. Yeah. That because there's no explanation as to how Bear's cat gets into the painkillers. At that point, you're not accepting anything that happens in the movie going forward. And it's just like why did this happen? How did this happen? Because he doesn't give a shit about anything. He's a sad sack. Yeah. He's living in his grandma's house. He didn't fix the medicine cabinet. The cat got into the medicine. And it's just like, why does this need to be fucking spelled out for you?
What explanation would make it better is, especially when you're dealing with a movie that is essentially down to the supernatural. None of the interpersonal dynamics of this are quite real with young people in their early 20s who don't really know what they want to make of themselves. And, you look around and you want to be loved, and you see the next prettiest thing next that is around you all the time and tolerates your presence, and think, I would be fixed if this person loved me. But no, you would be in a relationship with the person. You would be the same broken person you were before that.
Right.
The cat thing is just not going to. He didn't fix something. He left the cap unscrewed. It falls over. The cat eats it. The cat dies. These things, unfortunately, happen.
Hey, y'all. It's Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke. Y'all know our fans are like family to us, and family watches out for each other, especially when we're out riding. So before you or your crew get on your motorcycles, make sure you're good to ride. Even one drink could be too many. Don't let a good ride end the wrong way.
This little bitty town, it ain't nothing new. We all stick around.
Ride sober or get pulled over.
In a way, as much as I love this movie, and I think it is a brilliant, deeply effective horror movie, I do blame Hereditary in a way, where everything that happens, including, why are these teenagers, chopping up walnuts for a cake at a party? Everything that happens is predetermined.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, clearly this cat's death was predetermined. No, it's just, it just emphasizes that the cat was his only companion and he's lonely. And now he doesn't have that companion anymore.
I mean, you're absolutely right. What it communicates to me is that Bear, to a great degree, is lost. Any semblance of adulthood that he has is something that he's received and not necessarily earned. And that's okay. That is acceptable for a person at a certain time in their lives. Like, he can get himself to and from work. He can conceivably, get through trivia and have a bunch of friends and not offend all of them and be able to operate in the world to a certain degree. But he still has all the same problems he did before he went to trivia.
He lives at his grandmother's house. He does not appear to have changed anything about the interior. So, he's not made it his own home, even though there's no reason why he can't at this point. It was left to him. Yeah. And he's just frozen.
He's stuck in a specific place, and he's hoping that this unrequited love, if it were to happen, it would push him into a new realm of life. He would certainly have things that he didn't have before. He would have a partner. He would have the girl that he is obsessed with before the movie really gets going.
That he is obsessed with, but doesn't really know.
Right. He knows the surface level of her, right? He was aware of her, then they got to be work friends, and he would like it to be more, but he hasn't really done anything to facilitate that happening, nor does he care whether that or not it would be interested in that. And by everything we learn over the course of the movie is she wants to quit that job. She wants to get out of that town.
She wants to be a writer. She is a writer, but wants to focus more of her time and attention on it.
Yeah, and this sort of floating through life existence that she's had isn't going to be solved by getting into a relationship and just constantly doting on Bear. But he doesn't really consider her wants and needs, and that, my friends, brings us to the main point of the movie, and that Bear is the bad guy. Now, our audience doesn't need to be told this, but Gina, please go ahead.
Yeah, other people very much need to be told this, including, I believe, one of the producers of Obsession thought it needed to be changed to emphasize that Nikki is the villain. Which she is not. Nikki is the victim. And she is the victim several times over. Because the first thing everybody does, her so-called friends do, when there's clearly something wrong with her, is think that she's doing something to manipulate Bear. Right. That she is taking advantage of him. It is not until it is clear that Bear, despite dating her and despite professing to love her, is doing nothing about what they perceive to be some sort of mental breakdown that culminates in her, smashing herself in the face with a bottle in front of their entire friends group. And all he could do is just freeze up. He just, like, several times he does this. He's a deer in headlights.
Yeah. No,
I said in my group chat today that, a new all-time horror villain is here, and it's Bear from Obsession.
I absolutely agree with you. I think the entire game, if we were to put it in comedy terms, of the film is to give this character what he thinks he wants and make him suffer as a result. Now, this also has a patriarchal element to it that I think people have a difficulty untangling. It's not agreeing with that patriarchal attitude. It is simply unavoidable that it occurs. And so you have to view this as him essentially doing these things against her will. Her body and her decisions are not her own. They are supplanted with his own. And as a result, throughout the movie, the thing that he thought he wanted slowly destroys him. Now, you would think at a certain point, that when this is being revealed to him in bits and bobs and then in giant heaps, and then dump trucks come on and back up and dump it in front of him, that he would realize this. But he doesn't until another one of his friends' entire face is destroyed.
Yeah,
and then he's like, I got to do something, right?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing could be summed up with a very simplistically, to be sure, but as a cautionary tale about why, if you have feelings for someone, just fucking tell them and prepare to deal with the possibility that they're going to reject you.
Yes, and hence why there's this constant need since this came out, and you'll hear it voiced like, did she actually like him before? If he had voiced it, if he had done this, if he had done that, that's not the point.
It's not the point. He's not paying it. It doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter to him. And there was a point where you could maybe feel a little bit sorry for him, but when he gets pissed that she asks when she's blinks out as herself for a moment and asks him to kill her.
Yeah.
Like when he's offended that she would rather die than be trapped in this situation where she has no bodily autonomy, where she is just this, complete, like Polaroid negative of herself, where, and he's just still plowing away at her, even though he knows what's going on and he knows something is wrong with her. And, but he's like, well, how dare you? What's so bad about me? Well, for starters, you're now a rapist, Bear. How do you like them apples? And also, all of this is because you are a shameless coward. And he continues being a shameless coward until the very end of the movie.
And the actor has stated on multiple occasions that this was the goal of him playing this character. He wanted to do this specific way, to cast Bear in this specific light and not let up on it, to the point where in that last scene in which he finally succumbs to the guilt of what he's done and decides to once again take a coward's,
it's not the coward's way out. It is the only way he can set her free. And at the last minute, he changes his mind.
And that's what he changed on the day. They filmed it one way the entire time. And then he's like, no. Let me do it where I attempt to purge the pills out of my system before the other Willow snaps me into my own state, my own obsession state. And that, I feel like, really shows you that he's unwilling, even at that point, to actually follow through on saving her.
Yeah, he has no follow through. He's a coward. He he's told over and over again, why are you doing this? This is a bad idea. Like even before anybody knows what's going on, they know something's wrong.
Yes, and it's like, they definitely know that.
Why are you not getting her help? What is happening here?
And he's not really ever helping things, because he's constantly going, I don't know, something might be wrong. She's very confused. She's very worried about her dad who has cancer and all this stuff. And he's constantly throwing up excuses rather than, we confessed our love to one another and we're just he can't even do that. He can't even lie correctly.
He thinks he's going to put an end to it, and then he goes home, and she's very solicitous, and she smiles at him, and she only occasionally screams at him, and duct tapes the front door of his house shut. But you know what? When she's not doing that, he kind of likes it. He likes it when she's subservient to him. You know why? Yeah. Because the real Nikki is not like that. Mm-hmm. And would not be like that, even for someone she professed to love.
Yes,
and I think that he knows that.
Mm-hmm. No, he knows deep down. He doesn't want to confess it. He certainly doesn't want to confront it. And the fact that he on some level knows that this is the monkey's paw. This is the bad miracle that's happened to him, but it works for him in the moment. And then it's just inconvenient when she can't actually leave the place she was standing until he comes back home.
That was such an upsetting moment. That was such an upset. I think I knew it was coming, but it was still such an upsetting moment. It was so disturbing.
I think when you get down to it, right, the performances are matching the material and the core ideas that are trying to be presented here. And as a result, all of these qualities work with one another to genuinely disquiet. And you have to be willing to reach some pretty ridiculous levels of either on Nikki's side or on Bear's side. But if you don't commit to it, the joke doesn't work. And the joke works, baby. It's pretty astounding, as far as I'm concerned, how this movie comes off, because I can't really completely stop thinking about it.
No. I found it really got under my skin in a number of different ways. I do think, as far as darkly funny moments, I think my favorite one was when he can't even bring himself to tell her directly that she shouldn't serve the corpse of his cat in a sandwich.
Yes.
He can't even bring himself to tell her that directly, so he tells her in the shower. And she's like, okay, honey. And then he tells her in even quieter voice, assuming she's not going to be able to hear him over the water, that, Ian invited me to a boys' night out, and then I thought I would go. And then the water just cuts off immediately. It's like, oh, she did hear me.
Oh, see, that's what I love about the sort of comedy mentality. The game, as long as you're preserving the game, the scene works. And so when people get hung up on those other details, it's like, but that's not the game, guys. Yeah, and it's a little bit of we've discussed this before. It's a little bit of a, Cinema Sins YouTubeification, everything's going to be explained to me movie culture, that these things aren't Easter eggs. This is the story. Just pay attention to the story. And so long as you do, the things you don't understand are probably things you don't need to. In the end, you're probably better off just consuming the movie as it presents itself to.
Right. It's like, well, why is she walking in that weird way? I don't know, because it's fucking creepy. How about that?
Right.
It's like, does there need to be a reason other than it's creepy?
Yeah, you're dealing with the supernatural. Like, there is no explanation that's really going to explain it because it can't happen.
Right, because she's
real life.
Because she's possessed.
Yes, although that is something that's kind of come up like, it's not possession. And then Barker kind of brought up that he doesn't really consider it possession. And to a degree, I suppose that's true in the traditional exorcist sense, or the vast majority of possession movies we've seen and covered on the show. She's not replaced necessarily. She's rewired.
Right. Yeah. It's sort of like, I said, sort of like a photo negative version of herself.
Which is why she fucking walks backwards. It's why she talks in her sleep in the real Nikki's voice. Because when this wish Nikki is speaking and doing everything she's doing, she's in the sunken place. Let's break it back down to Jordan Peele, right? Jordan Peele doesn't have to explain the medical procedure that puts a white person's consciousness into a black person once their consciousness is in the sunken place. You don't need a breakdown of how that works on a DNA basis or whatever the fuck. It's supernatural. It's science fiction. It's just something that's happening. The same is true here. Right. Whether you consider it possession or not, they're operating along similar wavelengths. So her walking backwards demonstrates that there's a struggle for patrol between the real her and the wish her that is remote piloting her body and mind.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. To my understanding of it, like the few times I've watched it now, is that the wish version of Nikki is not entirely sure how to act human. That's not its role. It was asked to love Bear more than anyone else in the world. And that's everything.
Right.
That's the entire goal.
And it's so like, and again, also comes down to the wording of his wish. It's not, oh, I wish Nikki and I were a couple. I would like Nikki to fall in love with me. It's, I want her to love me more than anything.
Or I wish I was someone Nikki would want to fall in love with.
Yeah, like change something about yourself first, asshole.
Yes.
It's like, change out. Wish you were someone different than you.
But even an instantaneous change feels like more effort than Bear wants to give to this. And so that's why over the course of the movie, you kind of get the feeling like the person who owns the story buys the Willow at may have broken a wish will and said, I wish I owned a store like this. Because they don't particularly know how this works. Everyone seems like, I just don't want to deal with the One Wish Willow questions. And later when Ian says, I wish I had $1 billion, $1 billion in cash just falls from the fucking ceiling. It's simple. It's inanimate objects.
Right. But also we don't know if, there will be consequences for him instantly coming into $1 billion.
Of course there would be.
Right. Because it's the monkey's paw.
Right. But I don't think it's one of those things where it came from a drug cartel. Is necessarily
no, but it's gonna, it's gonna change his life in some sort of unexpected, very likely negative way.
Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal? Driving high will get you a DUI. And if you're wondering if law enforcement can tell you're driving high, well, everyone else can. Friends?
I can tell you drove high.
Parents?
I can tell when you drive high.
Relatives?
I can tell. You drove here high, didn't you?
So what makes you think law enforcement can't?
I can tell.
If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
But it's just chilling. It's chilling to ponder the long-term, outcomes for that kind of wish. Like, imagine if they'd had a child together.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, there's no way he's using protection, Gina.
No.
There's no way he can plan for that. He's the fucking worst. Oh my God, he's the worst.
He's terrible. And the more you go along, the less it's like, wow, you fucking suck, man.
Yeah.
No wonder she doesn't like you. Which makes it a little more plausible that Sarah, who's also an equally attractive young woman with a bright future ahead of her, would have some feelings for her.
Right. Well, she enjoys a sad boy. She's an artist.
That's true. That is very, very true.
That feels like suffering, right? He's suffering. I suffer for my art. That sort of makes sense. And of course, he's so focused on the thing he can't have that he's completely blind to something that would be a not forever relationship, but something that they could have for 6 months and it would end badly, but would probably cause them to make better changes in their life after the fact.
Right. I mean, at least you can encourage him to fucking update the interior of his house.
Right, yeah. Well, that would require effort, but yes.
It looks like a funeral parlor in there.
Yes, because he just has it, because he was just given it. So in a way, the One Wish Willow is a further extension of how he lives to this day. He drives his grandmother's car, lives in grandmother's house, has not changed the bed. Still, the bedroom has boxes of her shit in it. Gina Radcliffe.
Like the thing with the cat would have been fine if he had emptied out the fucking medicine cabinet. Because I was curious, because I was like, I think the label's like Barbara something, and I'm like, are we going to find out who Barbara is? And it's like, I guess it's his grandmother who has been dead for some unspecified period of time. But you think one of the first things he would have done was empty out the medicine cabinet. It's like some really weird shrine to her in there.
And to a degree, right? There are elements we've all I can't say we all. There are a lot of people who have been depressed at a certain moment in their life, find themselves in the ditch, and just the very act of getting out of the car seems like it's too much. I grant you that this is a work of fiction. This is not reality.
Oh no. I have been there, but I think it would I think the cat getting into the pills and dying would be the boot in the ass that I needed. Yes. And I would not I would focus more on that than on mooning and crying over liking a boy who doesn't like me back the same way.
Yeah. And as a result, his answer to this is for something to instantaneously change that doesn't require work.
He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to work for it. I mean, I truly think the thing that he is really counting on is that at some point Nikki will, let's face it, come to her senses and decide that she wants to be with him, and she'll do all the work of asking him out.
Right? Yeah.
Which is a funny thing, which brings me back to that he doesn't really know her at all.
She says it herself. If someone has a crush on me, they'll never know. But then she can sense that there is something that he needs to say. And she kind of guesses, do you have a crush on me? And he cannot bring himself. The very idea that he might be rejected prevents him from saying anything.
Right. She gave him an open window and he did not climb through it.
It just, oh my God. That's why I feel this is so engaging, because it really does prompt so many conversations, and it is such a simple premise.
It's literally, based on a story or inspired by a story, most of us read in middle school.
Exactly. Because it's a very simple premise, it's been done a million times. And to a degree, that whole Bad Miracle extension of it, I feel like, is just an interesting blossoming from the Twilight zonification, the X-Fileification of horror over the years, where people have ingested that and then found it to be clay to form something else with. And it just shows a clever mind. And I'm not surprised that we're in an age of a lot of horror people coming from the comedy world, because jokes have to be simple and true for a wide array of people for them to laugh at. They have to be simple observations.
Well, I think you have to have, back to and there, for obvious reasons, these two movies keep being compared to each other, even though they do not have similar plots, but also come from similar backgrounds, is weapons.
Sure.
And of course, Barbarian, which is like, you need a sense of humor to make what can come off as an absurd premise work. Yeah. There has to be jokes to work as a release valve of sorts.
Yeah. And it requires, and it allows the characters within it to have multiple dimensions to them. It really opens up the space for them to be more than one thing. And it's been a while since we've, been in the slasher boom of characters just being a thing, and that's enough until they get a corkscrew in the forehead. So I feel like the boundaries of what horror can be is constantly being pushed in a wider array of directions, and allowing this like non-slapsticky version of comedy, or if it is slapsticky, it's because the gore is over the top. It's in weapons, the running sequence at the end and the running sequence in the middle are just outrageous Benny Hill level jokes. And yet they are also terrifying.
No, it reminded me, those chase scenes, especially the one at the end, reminded me of nothing else as much as in Raising Arizona when he tried to rob the grocery store. Sure.
Yes. Oh, fucking like an assassin. Radcliffe. You're absolutely right. And they live on similar wavelengths. They are the flip sides of the coin. We've been down this road many, many times. It's just that we're in a little bit of an era where people are picking up on it in the right way. They're not so hard. And in a way, it is a return to what makes, God help me, Landis's American Werewolf in London, an incredibly good film, work so well, is that comedy is very character-based. It's observational. It's very, very true. And there just happens to be a werewolf in it.
Right.
And a zombie that lives in his head. We're going to have to do a werewolf season, I guess. Or do werewolves? I don't know.
Well, we'll wait till Werewolf comes out.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Because I'm going to have a lot to say.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have a lot to say. The poster just got released today. This will be really old news by the time this comes out.
I know. I'm so excited. I
do wonder, and I don't know that we're going to know this in any more advance when this does come out. I do wonder if he's genuinely going to go when we're going to do the 2011 Universal version of Wolfman. And one of the first goals was to not use makeup, not transform him into a formal werewolf with pointy ears and whatnot, but simply make him look more wild. And that would be the Wolfman. I wonder if that is where we're going to go with this, but that's complete conjecture on my end.
I'm ready, whatever it is, I'm ready for it. But to take you back to the combining, how some of the best horror movies in recent years have, combined, really genuinely good and character-driven comedy. Yeah. You haven't seen Evil Dead Burn yet?
Not yet. No, no. Unless it's on the airplane, I shan't be seeing until I get back.
I will reserve my thoughts until we have the episode on it. My thoughts are complicated about it. I will say that there is one funny moment in it. And I feel that it needed more of that. But I will explain, but I was really feeling the lacking, and I was really feeling the lacking of the spending a little time with the characters before things really start to, in this case, literally go to hell.
Yeah.
But, I think that I've really grown to have an appreciation for, beyond the fact that they're all just such great films for Jordan Peele's movies and Zach Kreger's movies. And now, considering that Curry Barker, has gotten his start in comedy writing. I mean, I expect he's going to follow the same vein.
Well, the movie that they were making that kind of prevented them from being, at least specifically him, because he was also going to be on that episode with Connor, was that they are basically making a version of the Frighteners.
Right. Yes, I saw that with a pretty solid cast.
It's very solid cast. So that was put together when Obsession was purchased for $15 million. That's that first blush of hot. Like, what else he got? And that's what he had in the pipeline. So they had been filming that and were in the editing studio and everything. And that's him and Connor as a two-hander with just a wide array of great stars along with them. So it'll be interesting because they're telling people right up on that's way more comedy focused with horror as an element, whereas this is horror with an uncomfortable cringe comedy, baked into the cake.
When we going to write a horror comedy movie? Sure,
why not? We have all this extra time.
Come on, let's help our Kickstarter.
Sure, why don't you? Let's see. I wrote down "Bears the Worst" several times.
Oh yeah, I'm just like by the end of the movie, my lip was curling.
Yeah,
it's like overdosing is too good for you, man.
Truly,
that's too peaceful of a death.
I like that the movie does work on a number of levels in terms of its progression of how this other version of Nikki operates, and then there's a scene in the car in which he calls the One Wish Willow hotline, which good for them. What customer service they have.
Right? Yeah, your customer service says, there's nothing you can do about it. Other than, dying.
This is, unless you want to die. It's just very simple terms. Like this is what's going to happen. Whatever it is.
This is not hard to figure out. I don't know what people's problem is.
Yeah. And so when he says, do you want to talk to Nikki? And then you just hear Nikki screaming like she's trapped in a burning hell behind on the other side of that phone. That communicates to you, you have done the bad thing. You are the bad guy. Whether or not you couldn't come to grips with it before or not, you should know now. And he keeps trying to weasel his way out of this without doing anything.
I think in his heart of hearts, however, much of a decent person is left in him. Mm-hmm. I think that he hopes somehow it'll all work out in the end.
Right. The fact that they were able to film it all over Burbank and I didn't recognize any location as being Burbank with the exception of one restaurant interior. I'm like, I've been in that restaurant. Everywhere else, I had no fucking concept it was filmed in Burbank, a town I know quite well. It just shows you the level of commitment they got to from every technical level, from every craftsperson. It's really, really something. I can't say enough good things about the performances in this movie.
Oh my God.
They are I don't know where we'll be towards Oscars when it comes, but there has been the discussion about Inde, picking up a nod here. And I think there's an argument to be made. There's a lot of real estate left in the year in terms of performances. At this point, you just don't know what's going to come up. But the argument can be made. If she's not up for a fucking Golden Globe, I will eat a hat.
The problem is, it's like it'll come under comedy. I mean,
right.
Which it is, but not not the same not the same way as other Golden Globe comedy movies tend to be.
True. Yes.
But I mean, yeah. Oh yeah. She's like we there's an all new Grand Champagne of horror movie screaming, and it's Inde Navarrette.
Yes. She can really fucking do it. I mean, she's got all the fucking skills. And It's going to be a great time for her until the internet decides they've had enough of thinking about her. And then it's going to be hell. But again, neither are really her fault. These are all
it never is. You know, like, why is Zendaya and everything? I think Zendaya's in like 3 movies this year.
Right. Because Spider-Man and Dune and Odyssey and then drama. It's a lot all at the same time. But also, that used to be a thing people fucking did. Movie stars were in movies. That's how
also,
it happened.
Also, she's in the Odyssey for a grand total of about 15 minutes. Right, so exactly. I think she had time.
Also, there are movie presences I can't stand, and then there are her. I enjoy her and everything that she's in. I think she does interesting, layered fucking work. And if you want something else, make it or support something else. I complaining about it when all she's doing is just earning paychecks and just hitting fucking bullseyes every time she's on screen. What do you fucking want?
Yeah, just all I ask is just stop fucking bitching.
Right.
Yeah, one of the reasons I've been on an extended break from social media, I'm so fucking tired of the bitching, Pat. The constant complaining about everything.
Yeah. It's a lot. You know, there are many resources for it. This will be really old news. We talked about it. But speaking of bitching, I wrote an article for Upworthy about this newspaper ad for the first fall season of the WB in 1995. And it contains a bunch of sitcoms, including one that I was surprised I had never heard of because it has Jason Bateman in it. And I'm like, I think I would know this. And my husband was like, well, it was a wild time. And, you know, I think in 95, I may not have lived in a place that had a WB affiliate. And I think that's also part of it. But I wrote the article about it. It seems to be doing very, very well. And then it made it to Reddit. And one person wrote in response to it that, this is a great article about people see ad, don't know sitcom. That's crazy. You know, pay me. And I'm like, put it on my fucking tombstone. Put it in the CV. Come on. Like what I'm writing about is a phenomenon of people assuming because I'm unaware of something that it must not be real. Instead of using the very powerful computers that are in the palm of their hands to do the barest amount of research. And that's what I did. The barest amount. Because I didn't have to prove to myself that it did exist. I just had to make sure that Simon was a real fucking sitcom. Because I knew about the other fucking sitcoms, which I think are far fucking weirder than that Sunday night lineup. Like Simon is Perfect Strangers. The muscle sitcom that it replaced, that was made by the people who made Soap, that was about it was basically Death Spa. They killed Adam West in a Who Shot JR scenario in the first episode. And then the rest of it is this elongated soap opera murder mystery. And by the end of the 13th episode, every character had been shot to death. That's fucking insane.
I don't remember that, but that sounds amazing.
I think we should do an episode by episode recounting.
No one will listen to it.
No one will listen to it, but we will have something to do with all of our free time again.
But we're not writing that a horror comedy.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything. Listen, I could talk about this for endlessly. But I have to get on a fucking airplane. So is there anything else that you have to get off your chest about Obsession? Or we could always revisit this down the line in a volume 2.
I didn't expect to, I don't like the word, overrated or oversold or anything like that. So I didn't think I would go into it thinking that when it was over. I trust your opinion on things. You raved about it. There were a couple other people whose opinions I trust on such things. They raved about it. So I'm going to enjoy this movie, but I really enjoyed this movie. I if enjoy is a proper word for it, I found it very upsetting.
Yeah.
I think it is painfully topical and timely. I think that says a lot that a lot of people came away from the movie thinking that Nikki is only, the sort of shadow Nikki is only a slightly exaggerated version of how, clingy and unhinged, females, because they always call them females, get relationships. It's just, joyfully, admitting that you missed the point of the movie entirely. And I think that, people like Bear, characters like Bear are supposed to be those people. Well, this isn't about me. I didn't do this. This isn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
But every single thing that happens is his fault. Two people are dead and it's his fault. A young woman he professed to love, life is destroyed.
Just decimated, shredded.
She's going to end up in jail or a psychiatric hospital for the rest of her life because she cannot explain what has happened. Why she's surrounded by the corpses of 3 people, with murdered by weapons, except for Bear, murdered by weapons with her fingerprints all over them.
Yeah.
She does. I don't even know that she knows that she did that.
I think she is remote. She is watching things through a window. And so she's watching it, but she, I think, hopes against hopes that it's not real. And that scream in the end is the realization of that reality hitting them. And it's the closest. And I think the only thing that's ever surpassed Excision for me in terms of devastating ends in the years since I watched that movie.
If you think there's going to be some triumphant ending where Bear dies and she's released. I mean, he does die and she is released, but it's not a happy ending.
Right. That's the wild thing about that is that you get what you want, and then you're like, I don't want this. I don't want this version of it. And that's the thing. That's why it's the bad miracle. That's why it's the monkey paw.
And it all could have been prevented if he had just manned up and opened his fucking mouth.
Absolutely. But the other thing we have to open up our mouth about is choosing our own death venture, and that's where we decide of the deaths portrayed in 2026's Obsession. If you were forced to die in one of those ways, which one would you choose and why? Up for bid this week is face smashed into a brick that is wedged into a steering wheel, shoved, or rather shot in the head, but you die rich. Take a bunch of pills, try to throw them up, die, and leave the girl that, as Gina just denoted, you supposedly loved, but you actually forced into a love slave relationship with, to take the rap for all the fucking chaos you caused. Gina, what say you?
I say those because without going into too much detail, I will say that it does feel pretty nice. but also, that gets, I'm leaving a person I love, taking the fall for everything that was my responsibility. So I was going to take shot in the head. I don't think he even realized what happened. He walks into that door and he just out immediately.
The last thing through his mind is a breeze of old grandma air.
Yeah, the last one in his mind, huh?
Wow. Fantastic motion picture. Just
absolutely.
Wish we could have gotten to it sooner, but obviously we couldn't. But the nice thing about this is that at the time this will be old hat by the time this actually airs. But it's a rich text. There's a lot of good stuff here for people to dig into. And I love to be full-throated in my endorsement of something. I also love to talk about, Bollywood versions of Child's Play. That's a thing too.
Okay. So that is now, I would say, but now my 3 favorite movies of the year are Papi Gudea, The Odyssey, and Obsession.
What a top 3.
I'm versatile, man.
Yeah, you contain multitudes. Gina, where can people, I guess, find you on a portion of the internet?
I do occasionally pop into our Discord server. I'm going to make a commitment to being there more often. But other than that, I am on a bit of a break from social media in general. But I'm here and about, occasionally posting on Instagram. I probably won't be gone forever, just a little while.
Yes, it's perfectly understandable. And I will re-up our Discord. The link is a forever link in the show notes. And the group of people who are there are lovely. They talk to each other far more than they talk to me. And they have a lot to say and a lot of fun recommendations. It's just a very pleasant place to be. And that's what we like about it. We like to enjoy pleasantries in our movies about holding someone against their will inside their own body. Anyways, you can find me by extension on various places on the internet. Rate and review the show on iTunes. If you tell us what your favorite death is and movie we covered or not covered, I'll talk about it here on the air. That's my solemn promise to you, the Kill by Kill listener. Thank you so much to Josh Hollis for the artwork to Revenge Body Memphis at bandcamp.com. For our themes and remixes, go to screamshare.beehive. That's BEEHIIV.com to get my newsletter, which when I'm not on vacation comes out every week and gives you 3 horror recommendations that you can stream at any time that I bring hot to your inbox, free of charge, really. And then that just about does it, folks. Don't worry. The body count will continue. For myself, for Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
They're all going to laugh at you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.